Great presentations do not come out of just your delivery. They are made in how you create your presentation. Today, I'm going to give you 10 steps on how to write a presentation that is organized, intelligent, and convincing, and gets you a standing ovation in front of any audience. Hello, my name is Brenda Chadambura, and I'm the creator and founder of Public Speaking Masterclass. Welcome to this video. I help professionals develop a speaking confidence and articulation that helps them to stand out and get promoted wherever they go. One of the biggest mistakes I see people making when they're delivering their presentations is thinking that they only have to focus on how they're speaking and how they're coming across when they're talking to people. What's actually happening most of the time is that when a presentation looks disorganized or it looks like the person is having trouble speaking, is because primarily the presentation was not written properly. And that means that the person, first of all, feels quite scared, feels disorganized, and their thoughts seem scattered. And when they're trying to articulate their thoughts, they seem quite confusing to the audience. And when the audience is confused, they start to lose their attention. They get frustrated and they start to zone out. So how do you ensure that your presentation is always at its best? First of all, you have to understand that every time you are speaking, whether it's to your friend or in front of your boss, you are selling something. You are trying to help them to understand that your perspective is something worthwhile. If you're going to do that, that means that your thoughts have to be articulate and they have to be in some way, shape, or form ordered so that the person you're trying to convince of something actually gets the point that you're trying to get across. So now on to the 10 steps for creating an organized, intelligent, and convincing presentation. The first thing you want to think about when you're thinking of creating a presentation is, who am I? If you have a sense of who you are and how you feel about yourself, and it is something positive, that's actually going to help you in how you write your presentation. If you are approaching your presentation as if it's something that is to be frightened about and something that is bearing down on you, you're going to find that your presentation is going to come across that way when you actually give it. So the best thing you can do for yourself is to think about positive things that you see in yourself and really start to dwell on them. Feel them and let them be a part of how you are and how you come across everywhere you go, but especially as you create the presentation. The more you feel positive about yourself, the more you're likely going to create a presentation that is going to connect well with other people and be compelling. One of the things that I always tell people is that public speaking is always about a positive experience with yourself as well as a positive experience with your audience. If you do not feel good about yourself, it's going to be very hard for you to produce a presentation that is going to have value for other people. You have to see value in yourself first before other people can see value in you and what you're about to talk about. So one of the simple ways to do that is to think about all of the positive things that you see in yourself, even if it's just 5 things. List them down and then say to yourself, I am smart, I am kind, I am compassionate, I am funny. All of those things will help you to feel like you have something worthwhile to give to other people. So try that as you are about to start writing your presentation and get into that mindset as you begin this journey. If you're struggling to see some positive aspects of yourself, make sure you look down below and email me. We will organize a 45-minute discovery session that will help you to have some sense of seeing yourself in a positive light. And that will be a starting point for you feeling confident as you give your presentations. So make sure you do that if you feel like you would like some extra help with discovering some positive things about yourself. Now that you feel quite strong and good about yourself, the other thing that you want to think about is see yourself as a leader. See yourself as the person in charge of this presentation. You are the one who is responsible for selling the idea that is in front of you. So take responsibility for it and feel good about that. Know that it's actually a privilege to be the one to be able to share your ideas with other people. When you start to see yourself as a leader, you will find that your mindset becomes much more about making sure that your presentation makes sense to your audience, as opposed to you feeling like I need to impress them. Because ultimately, your audience will be impressed when they feel like you have addressed their needs. But they will not be impressed if it looks like you are robotic and you were just doing your job, because that is a dead presentation. You want to give a presentation that is lively, that is compelling, and that really connects with your audience in a real way. The second thing to think about as you prepare your presentation is, who is my audience? As soon as I know that I have to give a speech or a presentation, my first question to whoever has invited me is, who am I going to be talking to? That is such an important aspect of how you're going to create your presentation. The more you know who you're going to be speaking to and what matters to them, the more you're going to give a presentation that is relevant. So ask questions like, what age are they? What professions are they in? What matters to them? What kind of a talk are they interested in? The more you can understand all of those questions, the more you're going to find that you get excited about giving this presentation in a way that makes sense and really connects with this group of people that you're going to be talking to. The other thing that you want to think about as you ask all of those questions is, what kind of an attitude or what kind of emotions are they bringing into this presentation? So if you're speaking to kids, you want to make sure that your presentation is engaging and interactive, and it really helps them to feel like they have learned something at the end of your presentation. If perhaps you are speaking to work colleagues who are feeling ambivalent and maybe even hostile to something you're going to present to them, you're going to have to make sure that you give them the evidence of what is valuable about what you're about to say right away, because they are already on edge. And what they need is for you to reassure them that what you're going to give them is going to be valuable and useful to their careers and their productivity. For the rest of this video, I'm actually going to be using that example that we just talked about of you being in a position of being an employee who has been asked to review a new software that other people are not quite keen on learning. So how do you go about making sure that you present the software in a way that other colleagues who might not be so interested in it get interested, get engaged, and possibly have buy-in into this new software? Now that you know your audience, it's time to gather the information that you need for your talk. The smart thing to do when you are gathering your information is to make sure that all of the information you're getting is relevant to the people who are going to be in front of you. And that's the benefit of knowing who you're talking to. If you understand your audience concerns and questions about this particular software, you're going to make sure that you gather all of the relevant information so that you give a clear and well-rounded perspective on what the software offers. The only caveat I would add to your gathering of information is to be honest and to be clear that the information that you're giving is done with integrity. What I mean by do it with integrity is, do not try and manipulate information for your benefit and how you want the presentation to go. If there are some things that maybe are not so good about the software, mention that. And if there are some things that are good, mention that too. But I would encourage you to make sure that you never manipulate the information you get for the sake of how you want the presentation to be perceived. The fourth thing is, now that you know your audience, you know your topic, and you've gathered all the information, understand the time that has been allocated to you. If you have been allocated 10 minutes and you gather a lot of information that could possibly be given in 30 minutes, it means that 20 minutes of your talk is going to be irrelevant and no one is going to listen to it. Make sure that if you have been given 10 minutes, you put all of the powerful and relevant data that you want to put in it so that it has max impact on the people who are going to be listening. One of the most important things about keeping time is not only is it respectful to your organizers, but it's also respectful to your audience. The last thing that keeping time does is that it makes you look like you are on top of your game. You are organized, and you are also making sure that you honor the audience that is in front of you. People will respect you for that when they see that you are mindful of your time. Now that you know your audience, you know your topic, and you know the time allocated for your presentation, think about the kind of themes that are coming out of the presentation as you are discovering the different relevant information. Are there certain things that are jutting out at you as you gather all of this information? Perhaps in the case of the software, you're finding out that not only is it easy to use, it is fun, it is efficient, and it produces great results when you maximize its use. Isn't that incredible? If you are able to use those themes and add stories and statistics to all of those themes to support the information you're getting, you are going to find that your presentation now has impact. It has come to life. You have added all of the different and relevant information that your audience needs to be convinced that this is something worthwhile. Number 6 is discover the central theme of your discussion. Out of all of the 4 themes that you have come across, what is the one central idea that you want your audience to remember? That central theme is going to be the thing that carries the whole presentation. It's almost as if that theme becomes the atmosphere that you want your audience to remember. So what is it in this case that we're talking about? I would say the central theme of our presentation to do with the software is easy profitability. Doesn't that sound enticing? When your coworkers hear about easy profitability, they are instantly going to think, I need to learn more about this. If this software is going to help my life get easier, reduce my stress, make my work fun, as well as helping me to make more money, they're going to be interested. And that's what you want. You want to start introducing the software as easy profitability, as opposed to seeing it as, oh no, it's the drudge of learning a new software. Now in their minds, when they think about the software, all they're going to remember is easy profitability. Now that you know who you are, who your audience is, what your topic is, the time allocated, the themes, and the central theme, you start thinking about how am I going to introduce the subject in the most impactful way. You want to catch them and hook them right from the get-go when you give this presentation. Because after all, you know this audience is ambivalent to the software. So the best way to catch them is in some sort of punchy way that really gets them thinking that maybe this is a good possibility for them. So there are many ways for you to approach your introduction. You could give a startling question, you can give an interesting statistic, or you can make it into a story. In this case, I would recommend that you use the idea of a story. If you create video testimonials of one coworker and one client who used the software and found it really beneficial and it made their life easier and they made more money, that's impactful. That's real. It's personal. And that's what your coworkers want. They want to know that this software is going to make their lives easier and it's going to help them to make more money. So remember that as you're creating your presentation, how can I meet my audience where they are right from the get-go with my introduction? Now, step number 8 is think about the conclusion you want for this talk. A conclusion is the lasting impression you want to leave your audience with. Now that you have presented all of the benefits of the software, you've given them stories and statistics of what the software will do for them, keep reminding them in a gentle but really powerful way of that central theme in your conclusion. How can you use that idea of easy profitability at the end of your talk so that when they leave that room, all they're thinking about is that lingering sense of, I am going to have an easier time working with the software and it's going to help me to be more profitable. You could say something like this: Now that we know that the software is easy, is fun, it's efficient, and it helps you to become more profitable, is there anything that could stop us from possibly embracing something that is so beneficial to our lives? If you all agree with me, then I would encourage you to consider the software and see what it can do for you. Can you see how that kind of an ending would help people to feel like you have taken away all of their concerns, and now all they have to do is to embrace this idea and know that it is the best decision that they could ever make? If you're able to do that at the end of your talk, you will find that the people in that room will take your presentation and hold it in their hearts and in their minds for a long time. So do that and see how it works for you in your next presentation. Step number 9. Remember what we talked about, that a presentation is all about you selling an idea to somebody else. If that is the case, you want to make sure that you give it as much impact as possible. One way to do that is to use slides. But how you use those slides is really important. Make sure that you do not overload your slides with information. Put one piece of information, or just an image for that matter, and that's all you need. If you're able to do that, people focus more on you as opposed to your slide. What you want is for the slides to be like a supporting prop to you being the presenter. You never want your audience to feel like, why did I come to this presentation? I could have just read the slides. People are there to listen to you and to connect with you as much as they want to get the information. So make sure you are the one who is, again, in charge of this presentation, as opposed to the slide becoming the one who is speaking for you. Step number 10 is to practice. Practice and practice some more. The kind of practicing I'm talking about is not one where you sit and you read your presentation over and over again. No, far from it. What I recommend you do is to stand up and picture the audience that is going to be in front of you. Picture yourself in a very strong, powerful, and responsible position. And then read out your presentation and read it with all of your might. Carry your voice to your imaginary audience. Use all of the gestures and everything else that you're going to be using, just as if you were in front of the people that you're going to be talking to. The more you are able to practice in that way, the more you're going to feel ready and less frightened and less burdened with this idea of, oh my goodness, I'm going to give a presentation. What's actually going to happen is, if you engage mentally and emotionally and physically with your presentation ahead of time like this, you're going to feel so much more sure of yourself. And the more you are able to feel confident as you get into your presentation, it's going to be something you're excited about as opposed to something you're frightened about. When you're actually on that stage, you're going to find that because you have trained your body and your gestures and your mind and your emotions to be ready for your presentation that way, it's going to be a little bit more seamless, if not really seamless, because you have become so attuned to your presentation. And the audience will love you for it, because they will feel like this person is comfortable in their own skin and they know their material well, and I can relax and enjoy what they have to say to me. That's what you want. You want to engage with your audience in an authentic way. And the more you're able to do that after you have practiced so much, the better it is for the day of the presentation. I really encourage you to take advantage of the checklist that is down below that will remind you of all of these 10 steps every time you're giving a presentation. And you're going to find that presentations or speeches are no longer going to be daunting to you, but something to be looking forward to and something to be excited about. And that's what you want. You want to be excited and feel ready anytime someone asks you to give a presentation. I hope these tips have been helpful to you. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you receive all of the videos that I'm going to be churning out to give you more tips on how to become an articulate and confident speaker, not just on stage, but in everyday situations. Thank you so much for joining me in this video, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next one. But for now, here's to your success.